Why, hello, and welcome to the Wild Wild West podcast. My name is Richie Riche of the MHRT Network. Over that away is DZ repping his Los Angeles Raiders. Just kidding, Chargers. I want to see if I caught his attention. See, that'll teach you not to pay attention and look at the camera. See? Then I have
I
to
do like to wear black, but
Yeah, I know, but I
pushing it.
wanted to see if you were actually paying attention. You weren't even looking at the camera. And down below we have Jack repping the Las Vegas Raiders. Thank you for joining us today on this lovely Wednesday. Fall is my favorite time of year because it's a very reasonable temperature outside. It is within my wheelhouse. In Celsius, it is not in the negatives. Not that that matters. I wear shorts and t-shirts up until about -1, -2 in Celsius. That is, for those who are Americans, that is somewhere in the 30-degree range, just to kind of do the conversion for you.
Too cold. Too cold for shorts and t-shirts.
Then again, we knew I was always built slightly different than the average person, so it is what it is. But this is right around the time of year here in Canada where we end up in a spot where we go from, kind of in the 60s in terms of temperature, and then literally a flip of the switch and we go right from 60 to like 30.
It's like Santa Claus hits a switch up.
Yeah, like it's literally it's like boom, gone, and then we get snow right away, the whole shebang. Super interesting the way things work up this way, and then it seems to take a little bit, but eventually trickles down to the south as well.
I love fall too, man. I feel like a basic white chick when fall hits. Like I'm like, oh, time to bust out the flannels. Like the only downside is leaves. I got to deal with tons of leaves.
Right.
I've got oak trees everywhere. But I love it. I think summer's overrated, man. I'm as I'm getting older, I'm getting tired of it. Too many bugs where I live, and it gets I feel like it's getting hotter every year. I don't know. That's just me.
Yep. So so it is what it is. We had a really interesting set of games this past week to go over within our division, and we are going to get right into it. Winter is also a big fan favorite of mine in this household as well. I live literally 5 minutes from a ski resort, which is just down the street from me. So I enjoy taking my kids there, and we go skiing all the time.
I would pay money to see
we ski. We ski.
Canadian tuxedo in a tube going down a mountain. I would pay money to see that. We need to get you
could happen.
A jean jacket and some jeans tubing.
You know what? Just because you asked, I'm going to see if I can't find one that fits me near here. There's a few thrift stores that are in around.
Yes.
I might be able to pull it off, and
there you go.
And I'm just the right amount. I am just the right amount of crazy to kind of go down the hill with something like that. So we'll stay tuned. Stay tuned. But anywho, I'll have to wear like a Broncos hat or something. I'll wear my Broncos toque, and then I'll wear the Canadian tux. We'll see what I can find.
Wait, what did you call it? Real quick, sorry for interrupting. What did you call it? A toque?
A toque, yeah.
Okay, us south of the border have no clue what the hell that means.
No,
it's a winter hat, except it is the French version of what they call a hat, and of course,
gotcha.
Given the whole bilingual thing, it is what it is. So you call it a hat. We call it a hat or a toque. It just depends who you're talking to in terms of which context. But
Gotcha.
Certainly winter sports, when you're going out and doing something, like you put your toque on. Like it's a common thing here. But it's kind of like you guys pronounce foyer wrong.
Well, I say foyer.
Okay, so you're in rare air amongst the Americans that I've met.
I mean, the States is still regionalized with words. It's probably the same in Canada, but you guys have it's almost like 50-50 on certain things. But it's very regionalized on what people call things and how they pronounce things here. But I say foyer. I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah, I mean,
I pronounce it wrong. Let's say
of,
4 year.
See?
of course, you're from California. I know all you folk. You're you, dude.
Right.
The folk around you voted in Gavin Newsom. That says enough, doesn't it? But anywho, um, super
Wrong
interesting.
show.
Yeah,
Let's
I
go.
know. It is what it is. Oh, look, if we're gonna be honest, Canada's worst. We voted in Mark Carney. But anywho, and Trudeau. Anywho,
Sponsored by CNN.
yeah, no, I would say no. Anywho, we get viewership. CNN doesn't. So with regards to with regards to the AFC West, we had a super interesting week. All 4 AFC West teams. So basically, we all just kind of leveled up, if you will.
Yeah.
There was no change in standings, no change in anything. Just everyone kind of moved on their merry way. To the Chiefs' credit, I know we don't have our Chiefs rep here on the show, but to the Chiefs' credit, I think it would be remiss of all of us if we didn't at least acknowledge their progress. They started off really rough. It did not look good. This looked like it was going to be the season where they kind of, were circling the drain, so to speak. And we've started to see the Chiefs ebb and flow, but they're more ebbing than flowing right now, and they're definitely starting to ratchet themselves up. And I do believe that they require credit where credit's due for their level of play, especially this past game. I mean, even when you looked at the beginning portion of the game against the Lions there, it was looking like the Chiefs were going to struggle a fair amount, actually. But to their credit, they came roaring back and they did their thing. So, good on them. Congratulations for the win. Not that you really want to see the Chiefs win, but you do need to acknowledge the fact that they have made forward progress, whether you'd like to admit it or not. And if but for nothing else, you play them again. So you need to take them seriously.
Well, the thing is, why did they have to start now? Why couldn't they wait a couple weeks? Especially since the Raiders are going to be playing them this week. We're hitting them at the wrong time, that's for sure.
You can do everybody else in the division a favor and take out a few of their guys. No season-ending stuff, but play the Raider way.
What stinks is they got guys coming back. So
yes.
And I'll be honest with you, I hate the fact that Rashee Rice is being celebrated in his return. Like that just irks the bejesus out of me. But seeing how this league there's so much betting and fantasy involved, I guess it goes two ways, right? So these people are excited that their horse and their fantasy team or betting wise is coming back. But I mean, it's a bad, what am I looking for? It's a bad look, I guess, hyping up a guy that's coming back, what they did, so what are you going to do, right?
Yeah, unless you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan. I mean, he's already coming into a loaded wide receiver room. They got 4 guys that are over 100 yards. It's the only team in the entire NFL that has that many, that's got over 100. So
yeah, good stat, Jack. Yeah,
it is. So enough about the Chiefs. We're going to move on to the early game, and we'll go kind of just to the Broncos game because we typically don't start off with Broncos on our show, but we'll start off with the Broncos, given the fact that we were in London and we played basically before a good portion of you were likely awake. If we're going to be honest.
Right.
So Broncos played the Jets, and I do want to publicly acknowledge and apologize to a big fan of the show. He's always been a huge supporter. Jet Central reached out to me, and for some reason I missed it after the Wednesday show.
Oh, man.
I want to publicly call it out and just say, my man, I'm sorry. I missed your DM to me in particular. He asked me to come on the show for a solid 30-minute segment on the Broncos Jets. I somehow missed it. I was super, super busy right after the show from Thursday on, but I want to publicly just kind of make a note and call out to Jet Central there that I do apologize. But Feel free to clip up the review segment here, kind of my comments and whatnot. And as I did offer in return, I'm happy to do a postmortem on the game with you and your fans to kind of go over what I saw, etc., and also where I was wrong, because I obviously called a few things incorrectly in that game. So, 100% here, Sacktown. Raider Mike, only 3 likes. Let's go ahead and get those thumbs up going. The more people we get liking the video, the more people we get in here that are just like you, fans of the AFC West. We're going to break down all the games, scores, predictions, roster moves, things of that nature. What makes this show really interesting is you have at least 3 of us here from the 3 different teams of the AFC West. We, by and large, don't hate each other, and we give you some great information on the various teams and how we all kind of dovetail together as a division. It does make the show rather unique. So click those thumbs up down below. If you're joining us after the fact, also click those thumbs up, but leave a comment down below the video as well with any of your questions and whatnot, and we will do our best to answer those.
Comment, like, subscribe.
Well, I'm not going to go crazy like that. That's just,
hit the bell, hit the notifications.
No one likes the crackhead comment, right? But anyways, it is what it is. So thank you guys. Appreciate you all joining. Sacktown, thank you for joining and commenting here. And Chewy's, and we have Willie Wayne in here as well so far. As well as, I do want to call out, we have the other Jack, who, if you think I got to pronounce that name, you have another thing coming, who was the first comment here on the show before we even got started. So let's get right into it here with my Broncos versus the Jets. So, the Broncos won. Great. Yay. However, it was not necessarily kind of the win that I was predicting, so to speak. It was certainly a much lesser than victory for my Denver Broncos. I mean, we won, so yay. But, we should have done better. And this is another example of the Broncos in large part playing down to some of their competition, which we've seen this year. You don't like seeing that from a team. We played up to competition in a lot of games that we played better teams and still kind of made it very competitive. But we kind of played down to the competition. And this is in large part actually due to penalties. If you look to see how the Broncos are really shooting themselves in their foot, we continue to get penalized an awful lot, more than most other teams in the NFL. If I remember correctly, I believe we are the second most penalized team in the NFL right now, which is not that typical of a Sean Payton team. He is
That's hard to believe.
It is. He's typically way more disciplined than that. And I mean, I would argue we lost the Colts game as a result of the Broncos allowing the Colts to just march down the field as a result of our own penalties against us. Right? It's just mind-blowing that we ended up losing a game like that. Now, that's the not so great. At the same time, though, we do need to bring up some things about my Broncos defense.
We're gonna yeah.
Like we have to. Like it right. It is like it's kind of low key getting close to being historic levels in some regards in terms of the different things that we're seeing. And it's very much going under the radar, generally speaking. You're getting some mild comments here and there from a few folks like the Broncos defense is pretty good, but they're not getting the accolades, like the actual accolades that they truly deserve based on where they're at this point in the season. When you start looking at things in the historical context. So,
hey, what's up, Nap?
Messed up?
I'm not seeing any glitches or anything here on our end. All of my colleagues here on the show are pristine and crisp. I'm not seeing any wonkiness here. I also have on my other screen the YouTube feed. Possible. I don't know. So, anywho, and that man, maybe restart or what have you. Feel free to jump back in. Always love your comments here on the show, my man. So, just back to kind of the Broncos defense, just generally speaking, and I mean, kind of broad brushstrokes. We are coming into week 7, so we are nearing kind of that close to that midway point. Now, are we far enough along to start making all these big, massive, bold predictions? No, much can happen between now and then. However, I do think that you're starting to get to a point in the season
The pictures
where,
get some color in it.
yeah, like the
Yeah.
lines are starting to get color in between them when
Yeah.
you're starting to kind of get the stuff put together. So, as it stands right now, Nick Bonito is still on track to break the sack record. As it stands right now, the Broncos are set to absolutely collectively as a team obliterate the all-time sack record across the league as well. And I mean, like, it's not even close. Like, I mean, like, they're blowing past that thing. And we also have a whole bunch of additional stats that we are in historical echelons with in terms
a
of
lot of stats.
yeah, it really is. The Broncos defense is just simply not getting, in my opinion, the historical benefit of the doubt when it comes to national media and just generally speaking, folks that are watching the game and watching the team play. Now, to put this in perspective, here are a few key stats from the Jets game. The Jets finished with negative 10 passing yards as a net.
That's insane.
Oh, Justin Fields.
How do you go through a game and you get negative yards in a football game?
So the Jets finished with a net. So again, it's not that they didn't make any passes. It's not that they like that. That's not what I'm saying. Move that up. Like, just, you can miss me with the nonsense. The Jets did make successful passes, and yes, they did work and all that kind of stuff. And that's just not what I'm saying. But just overall, when you net out how everything worked, they finished the game with net negative 10.
So they had 46 yards from the receivers, but lost 56. That's just nuts.
Who's your head coach? Aaron Glenn?
Yeah.
Aaron Glenn.
Oh, God. His seat has to be like nuclear hot right now.
Okay. Now, here's a few other stats that are relevant and certainly would be indicative of what you'd expect from a team that dominated. Although our offense continued to struggle, and I'm actually going to cover that a little bit later on. We had 9 sacks in that game. 9. Okay? 9. Not like 3 or 4, 9.
It's like Oprah. You get a car, you get a car,
Yes.
you get a I mean, 2 more and you would have had, a full house, man.
Yeah, exactly. We had 7 tackles for loss and 4 pass breakups as well. And those are just the high level stats that are kind of upper tier, upper echelon sort of things that, you want to bring up and bring forward. There was a bunch of other stats within the game that were rather interesting. Now, as Navman is attempting to point out here in his comments, yes, the offensive side of the ball was not spectacular. We struggled an awful lot. We had a bunch of penalties on a single guard, whose name was Matt Pert, who was filling in for Ben Powers. He had like 5 or 6 penalties alone, if I'm not mistaken. Like, it was pretty incredible, actually, the number of penalties he actually had himself. Just not good. And so that's bad. Like, I mean, there is no reason to sugarcoat crap. like that was a turd. Like that was a
That's like
turd,
all the
and it
penalties the
stank.
team had.
Yeah,
6 for 37
that
yards.
was
So if it's all on him, wow.
yeah. So that was bad. Like that was not good. And so, with that in mind, I do want to just kind of quickly bring up something that came out of that week for my Denver Broncos in terms of that game, which I think is also kind of important to bring up. So we made 7 different roster moves yesterday on the Denver Broncos. Not like 1 or 2, 7. Okay. Like I can't recall the last time that my team made 7 roster moves in one day, but yesterday was a day. So
Was it all injuries?
it was a combination of injuries and signing guys. So I'm going to go break it all down and we'll go from there. So we placed wide receiver Thayer Thomas on the injured list, which is super interesting. I'm getting to that one later on the screen. But yes, we may have an elusive Dre Greenlaw sighting. Don't worry, there's a stiff wind on the way. It may change things. So we have Garrett Nelson, who is outside linebacker. He is an interesting prospect. He had some upside coming out of college, and he kind of didn't do much. He played in the UFL prior to being signed for the Broncos. I'd love to say that I'm surprised by a signing like this, but the Broncos have a bit of a rich history of finding these gems,
obscure gems
that are
yeah,
and
the distant realms of football
yes,
playing.
yeah, and
Yeah.
the rest of the league hates it because like we have no business it's one thing finding a rare diamond in the rough. It's another thing doing that kind of thing consistently, which just shows you have a skill for it. And the league hates that crap because like every other team wants to be able to do stuff like that, right?
Right.
So then we have Thayer Thomas, who was placed on the injured list. So that's an interesting one. We signed Carson Barnhart. Now, that's a name that you should recognize, DZ. He is a one of your coaches, guys from Michigan. He was actually signed as a UDFA, if I'm not mistaken, as to the Chargers. I don't believe he was drafted. I think he was a UDFA. He's a guard, and the Broncos needing some guard depth, given some injuries and things like that on the team. I did think that he's an interesting prospect. Now, is he going to turn into something? My answer is likely no. But I do think that a fresh start with a different regime and maybe a different style could yield something. But having a young guy kind of step in and learn under a veteran team with some veteran O-line coaching and that sort of thing could be interesting. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see where he lands. But we signed him on Tuesday. Now, the guy that I thought was going to step in at left guard was now actually promoted to the 53-man roster, and that is Calvin Throckmorton. You heard me.
Last names, man.
The last name's awesome. It sounds like vicious of some kind. Like it's like. But either way,
Throckmorton the third.
Yeah, exactly.
At your service.
Or he sounds a little bit like almost like Viking, right? Like Throckmorton. So anywho, he was a guy that played quite well in preseason. If you remember me saying in the roster cutdown, I actually thought he played well enough in preseason and everything to actually earn himself a 53-man roster spot. But because he's a vested veteran and a Sean Payton guy, like he just brings him kind of wherever he goes. As a great depth O lineman. Calvin was on the practice squad, and then we promoted a few other tackles because tackles are more like a higher value position in the NFL. And we knew that we could force him onto the practice squad and likely stash him there, and it worked. So a great chess move on my Denver Broncos part, but he has now been promoted to the 53-man roster. Now, hear me talk about Matt Peart. Super penalized last game. Well, he got so badly hurt last game that he is now on injured reserve.
Wow.
He got hurt in the third quarter of the Jets game, played through an injury, to his credit, I might add, played through an injury. However, was so badly hurt that they just couldn't justify keeping him on the 53-man roster, and he is now on IR. We also placed Garrett Wallow on injured reserve, who is a reserve linebacker who is kind of a special teams guy. And we signed a fan favorite who a lot of Broncos country was pounding the table for when he got cut from the Saints, JT Gray, special teams ace, onto the 53-man roster, who is he's just a solid special teams guy. And that's a much needed boost, in my opinion, for the Broncos special teams, because we have struggled on special teams a little bit this year, more than we were expecting. So
you guys also had a visit, right?
We did.
I don't know if anything came out of that. It looks like he's visiting another team.
So the plan was all along the wide receiver there. I assume you mean that the first round.
Thornton.
Yeah, Tyquan Thornton. So
wait, not Tyquan. What did I just say?
No, it's
Why am I thinking of Chief right now?
No, what's his name?
Wow, that was what the heck's his name?
Hold on, let me get it.
He had a lot of promise coming out of the draft.
Treylon Burks.
Treylon Burks. There you go.
Oh, Burks.
He was the Tennessee Titans. He was a Tennessee Titans first-round pick. Treylon Burks. Yeah, you're right. Now, he was a guy that was slated to try to replace Hollywood Brown. He was a guy that they thought could kind of step into that role. Didn't really work out, is what it is. However, it'll be interesting to see where he lands, because the plan that he had was always to visit both the Broncos, and I can't remember who else he was going to
East Coast team, I think. I wanted to say, was it the Giants, if I'm not mistaken?
It may have been, yeah. But the plan was always to go to both teams. And
it's just crazy that he's out there. He is a former first-round draft pick. I remember looking at him going, I wanted that kid on my team.
Yep. Same.
Yeah. So wait and see where he lands. It'll be interesting to see the type of guy he is, because it's kind of telling if the guy wants to go to a team where does he want to go to a team that is maybe on the upward trajectory where he's going to be pushed, or does he want to go to a team where they're going to just fawn all over him but are not necessarily on the upward trajectory. So
I think that better part of that second part, considering your team, is does he want to go and play for a team that's on the rise, which is the Denver Broncos that are winning, or does he want to go to a team where he thinks he's going to get an opportunity to play more? So there's that. And that, there's a group of teams out there, and I didn't know Denver was, in the market, but apparently Denver, New England, Pittsburgh, New York Giants, and there's probably one more team out there. They're looking for wide receiver help right now. And I wouldn't have thought that looking at the Denver stable coming into this season, but that might be the case, right? I mean,
I think for Denver, they're looking for that player that can stretch.
There's been some issues actually at the wide receiver position.
Say that again.
Oh, I said I think Denver's looking for that guy who can stretch the field, open it up, for everyone underneath, because they just really don't have that guy who's super blazing speed to make it open for everybody else. And at least
got Marvin
not
Mims.
from what I've seen.
Marvin Mims has got the wheels. I don't understand. So I don't know. That's not really Tyquan Thornton. God, why do I keep saying his name? I'm an idiot. I mean, I don't know.
Burks.
You look at
Burks.
Troy and Marvin, and then you got, Pat Bryant, he seems to be like a nothing, right? Is not doing anything, right? So
no, that's not true at all. No, that's not true at all.
Is he blocking like our guy? Because I'm getting in arguments with somebody on our team that is becoming a blocker rather than a wide receiver.
Yeah, so if I'm going to break down the Broncos wide receiver room, I'd kind of break it down like this. Pat Bryant is playing really, really well. Sorry, can you just take over just a little bit? I have to take this. Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, Nav also said, and the Niners. Yeah, good one, Nav. They could use help everywhere. Surprising, and they're still competitive with what they're dealing with. I used to hate them.
It is kind of crazy.
Not anymore. But look, they had Cortland Sutton, Pat Bryant, Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims, and they traded Vele away, and apparently I think Vele is doing pretty good in New Orleans. Last time I checked. If the chat wants to look that up, that'd be cool. But yeah, it's kind of surprising that they're looking for another wide receiver. But I guess it's like that saying, the rich get richer. You want to bolster with
right. You just want to keep stacking on stacking on stacking, for that depth.
Yeah,
it's a long 17-game season, and you also got what's his name, Nate Atkins.
Okay,
out there.
Yeah. Mac Jones may get Purdy SAT sat as QB too. Yeah, it's interesting.
I'm just gonna look at the Broncos wide receivers. It's like they just don't. None of them really just put the fear in you. Like they're just gonna burn you deep.
Yeah, deep, right? Yeah, I think that has a correlation between Bo and the wide receivers as well, and earmuffs, Broncos fans. But I mean, that's what he was great at last season, though. He was deep balls all the way. Kind of seems like they went a little conservative. They're going a little conservative this season in spurts and games.
I think that they have the luxury of being able to do that because they're in the lead, so you can run more, you can go with more short passes that chew up more clock.
Lean on that defense. Yeah.
Oh my God, that defense it is disgusting. I was looking at the stats and I was waiting for Richie to talk about that, and I was just like, oh, that was mind-boggling.
I mean, every time I get on X, it's like a new stat, because my feed is, primarily our division, and then it'll be like my, upcoming opponent, and it's just stats. It's like Nick Benito, blah, 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 all. I'm like, oh my God, this Broncos defense is insane.
Yeah, I'm starting to get kind of tired of hearing the name Nick Benito. That's for sure.
Yeah. Tell me about it. I'm glad we don't have to see them till week 18. But you guys, as Raiders, you still have yet to play them, right?
Yeah, we have yet to play any of the AFC West teams. I mean, we're coming in this week. We're going to go against the Kansas City Chiefs, like I mentioned in the beginning of the show. When we're talking Kansas City, we're hitting them at the wrong time.
Sorry, guys. That was a bit of a small family emergency I had to sort out there. I apologize for that.
No worries, man.
You're good.
So, yeah. So just real quick on the Broncos wide receivers, and it's just like it wasn't what I was expecting to see as we started the year, but then again, I also didn't think Sherfield should have made the team, and of course, I was wrong. He made the team. So our issue right now is that we have Marvin Mims, who has struggled to really get a foothold within the Broncos offense overall this year. He's had a few splash plays, but nothing consistent.
Yeah.
Troy Franklin has had marked improvements, but then recently has kind of reverted back to some of his inconsistent play, which has had him kind of struggling just a little bit. And then contrary to what you were saying, actually, DZ, is Pat Bryant has actually leveled himself up as the year has gone on. He started off really struggling. Now he's made some bonehead mistakes and stuff like that. So, kind of that's on him. And based on his reaction, he'll admit that it was on him because he was not very happy with himself at the end of last game in terms of some of the mistakes he made. But overall, he's actually been playing very well and has actually been playing better and better. But the problem is that you need the other guy. You need someone else on the other side of Cortland who is consistent and can get himself open all the time, or at least
garner
regularly.
Attention, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. You need the guy to start spreading the field and kind of forcing the attention to kind of get over to him. And then you end up forcing to then cover two guys rather than just one, that sort of stuff, like that sort of thing. And right now the Broncos are struggling in that regard. And Ed is playing the role of father figure today, and reminding you, Jack, that smoking kills, so stop it. Um,
I
um,
had to say that.
so, generally speaking, I was actually kind of surprised that the Broncos wide receiver room has struggled as much as it has this season, because I was actually fairly pleased with kind of the general complement of wide receivers that we had.
So was I.
Um,
I was like, wow.
but they've really struggled with the technical elements of the game. They've struggled with basically everything that Keenan Allen is good at. The Denver Broncos wide receivers, with the exception of Cortland Sutton, have struggled with. So Keenan Allen is a tactician when it comes to route running. He kind of sells his route the right way and is able to navigate the field and get himself open on a fairly regular basis.
He
Keenan
might be
Allen
the
is not
slowest guy I've ever seen get open.
Yeah, he is
It's
not the
unreal.
fastest dude on the team. He is
No.
certainly not even close to the fastest guy on the field, but he is like just always on point as it pertains
It's also
to his
this.
route
I
running.
mean, what he's learned.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
he came into the league kind of like that to an extent, but you know, this is his 13th season, so he's got a lot of like, his brain is just file cabinets of what to do and how to lean. You know, he probably he's like watching the linebacker. You know, there's that wide receivers, and I just learned this week, so I'm using it. Wide receivers, when they line up, they look for, I believe, what's called the diamond, and it's they look to the linebacker, to the cornerback, to the safety, and they have to see what their feet are doing and what's going in. That shows them like, okay, is this guy coming in? Like, who's got me? And they got to read and think all that on the top of their head or whatever, you know, in a split second. And I thought it was really cool. So he's probably, you know, it's like nothing to him. He just goes,
Yeah.
you know, kind of thing.
Yeah. I'm going to say, Ed, that Denver has some potential with our wide receiver room. I would say that if they improved, that they could get others that are elevating. Pat Bryant, I think, is an example of a guy that you're going to start to see elevate up. Troy Franklin is taking his sweet time getting there, but he is certainly improving.
Which is weird. Which is
It
so
is
weird. You would have
improving.
thought that him and Bo would be like PB&J, dude, just
Right.
rocking and rolling together.
And
Yeah,
this
it
is
hasn't
why
happened.
I'm a bit concerned that it may be a coaching problem in the wide receiver room as opposed to the wide receivers themselves. Because, I mean, if you're going to be honest, I mean, Troy Franklin and Bo Nix were, I mean, they sing each other's praises on a regular basis. And you'd think that they would have a bit of a shorthand to them, and yet they're not really clicking that way. And Bo Nix is no longer really thinking through Sean Payton's offense. You can see the way he's playing. He's not having to constantly process it. He's able to navigate it very well. Bo Nix's big issue right now is the middle left portion of the offensive line is not keeping the pocket clean enough for him in order to be able to truly just look upfield. He has to constantly shift his focus in terms of being able to throw the ball upfield.
Which is weird, because I know your criticism of your guys' offensive line, but nobody else got that memo outside of probably Denver fans. You know, because all these stat pages and whoever, PFF and everybody, they got the second best O-line in the league right now. This, that, and another. But then when I listen to Bronco fans talk, you and a couple others, they're like, our O-line's trash. I hate our O-line. And I'm like, what the hell? What's going on here?
So the problem is that for some of the services like PFF, there's a financial component, and the Broncos ownership is certainly not poor. So they have the budget. They have the budget to spread some wealth around in terms of.
I think they're the most. I think they have the most money out of all ownership groups in the NFL. I want to say.
Look, I was trying to be kind, but I think you can add something like 20 or 30 of the ownership groups together, and they still don't have the wealth of the Walton Penner Group.
I think it was 77 billion or something.
I was trying to be modest in terms of how I was describing them, but the short answer is like there are like nobody is close.
They told Denver, they told the city of Denver, don't worry, we got it.
Yeah,
we'll take care of it. Don't worry, we got it. No worries. Like you guys want some new streets and buildings, we'll do it.
Like
it's fine.
It's just a few billion. Don't worry about it.
Meanwhile, other ownership groups are like begging the city and stuff like, please, can we do this? And can we get some help? And, you know, it's just like a constant battle. The new ownership group for Denver is like, we got it. No problem. Cool. You guys cool? All right. You get a new car.
Yeah. Yeah. It really is a unique position to be in as a Denver fan because like you just don't have that, right? You just don't.
You said something real quick, Richie. You said something earlier, opening up this segment, and I think you were talking about scouts. Well, I just heard today from a guy who played in the league, played at college, you know, Alabama. They were talking about the Cincinnati Bengals and how they have a tiny scouting department because they don't have the money.
Yep.
Because they're like a mom and pop shop compared to a lot of other NFL teams are the Cincinnati Bengals. So they don't have a lot of money to put into scouts, to area scouts. So in that, what they're talking about is their O-line has struggled forever. They have not had a good O-line for a long time. And that guy was saying they might have a problem with scouting. You know what I mean? And some other teams, you know, I pay attention to places and people I follow, and they're like, Chargers have a scout at this game, that game, this game, this game, you know. Every weekend they'll have multiple scouts. So if you've got a team with a lot of money, like the Broncos probably do, they can afford to send scouts everywhere and have them, you know, digging in. Like you were saying, you're finding guys, you're finding gems. You know, and that's an advantage.
Well, not only that, you can turn a lot of your contracts into signing bonuses, so it doesn't affect your salary cap as much, which gives you a competitive edge in the league.
Yep. You are correct. And then the other option as well is what you're missing as part of the scouting piece there, DZ. It's not just the general scouting of college players. It's also having enough money to extend your scouting department to have enough personnel in it to go and look at the flag football league, to go and look at the UFL, to go look at the XFL, because like, look at some of the guys that have kind of come up, or CFL even. So look at the guys that are coming through the league that you're seeing that are now starters in the NFL, some of which are playing very, like, they're not like the key cogs necessarily on the team in terms of the starters, but they're the guys that are the lunch pail dudes that make the team work because they're just consistent. And so as an example, like Alex Singleton on the Broncos would be a good example of a guy like that. He came from the CFL and then from the Eagles. And he went from the Eagles to the CFL and then kind of came back over to Denver from the Saskatchewan Roughriders. He's a CFL guy. Like he went from the Eagles to the and then back.
He's also Canadian, right?
He certainly, like, I'm not sure if he is or not. I don't want to commit to the fact he is or not, but he is definitely. Like he is he's at least married to a Canadian, I think, because he's all about the CFL and he always comments on it all throughout his Twitter feed and stuff.
Let's see.
Let me look it up.
Yeah, he's Canadian American.
He's just Canadian American.
Which is weird because he played at Montana State. But he was born in California. What the heck? How is he Canadian American?
Yeah, that's interesting.
I bet his parents are Canadian.
That's probably, it's got to be because.
Got to be. No wonder why Singleton's so good. Comes from California.
I'm like, I wish I could just pick and choose where I'm from. I'm Mexican Irish American. Let's do that.
Yeah, a wee bit of the Irish.
Yeah.
So he was in the 2015 draft. He went undrafted.
So and then he went for a hot minute.
And then he was signed, and then he ended up bouncing over to the Patriots, and then he bounced over to the Vikings, all within the same year. And then he was signed to the Calgary Stampeders, and then to the Eagles, and then eventually to the Broncos. And now he's been a staple on the starting lineup for us. Like, he is all over the place, and he was known as a thumper in the CFL. Like, he was like, what you're seeing with the Broncos in terms of how he generally plays is what you saw in the CFL. He was that guy in the CFL, and he got accolades all over the map in the CFL.
And I think the CFL, the field is wider too, right?
Wider.
So you got to be able to cover.
You have to cover more. You have to be able to run more. It's a little bit more like running, like rugby running kind of thing, because you just have like a wider pitch to cover, and so you're just running more. And then the CFL also allows for more movement on the pitch as well compared to the NFL. So you're just naturally having to move and run more. So it's a faster paced game than the NFL is. The NFL is more gritty and more physical in that regard, whereas the CFL is a little bit more athletic in terms of.
I've watched a few CFL games. They're kind of interesting. I don't like where the uprights are at on the fields. I think that's it's just old school, but I feel like the NFL's a little more technical.
Yep.
And CFL is just, it's explosive. I like the explosive
more
aspect
speed
of it. I think they can motion multiple players at the same time, or have them moving before the snap.
Yep.
Which is cool.
Prior to snap, they're allowed to motion a bunch of guys, and so it makes a.
You look at him bouncing around. And now he's a staple. I mean, finding a Sean Payton defense, and he's just excelling. I mean, I was so impressed with him last year. I've been impressed with him this year.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing, a guy like that. You just hear his name and going, oh, yeah, he bounced around. He's like in the CFL. You would think, no way. I mean, that's how good he is. It's just it's a blessing for Denver that, you got your coordinator that can use him in the right way, and he fits it like a glove.
Right. And so this is what I'm saying, though, right, is that when you have a scouting department that has enough cash behind them in order to hire enough guys that have the skill, you can send CFL scouts, you can send UFL scouts, you can send XFL scouts, you can send, like you were saying, like the Bengals as an example. Well, when you're limited, you have to really control where you go and how often you go there, and you have to be very frugal in terms of how you travel and all that sort of thing to maximize stuff. But when you have more cash to throw around and you have the budget to kind of do what you need to do, you can find a Jonathan Cooper and do the due diligence on him, who slipped from a second-round draft pick into the 7th round.
Yeah, it's having a hell of a year too.
Like, you can do due diligence on a guy like that. You can do due diligence on, other players like a Jonah Ellis and get him in the 3rd or 4th round, where he is playing like a starter. Now he's hurt right now, so let's hopefully he gets better. But again, you can find guys like that and slate them into the right round for your team and draft them accordingly, and really maximize your draft capital that you're putting in, right? So there's that. The other thing that I want to bring up is the guard position for my Denver Broncos. I again want to be on record. I think the Broncos really like Palczewski at a right tackle position, and they don't want him getting hurt in the guard spot. But ultimately, I think Throckmorton is going to be an upgrade over Pert, and I think that he's going to play better than Pert. However,
is that your left side? Pert was that?
The question now is, with the Giants' defensive line. On the flip side, do you really want to flip out a center and a left guard in the same game? When you're going against a defensive line that has been playing quite well? In my opinion, I believe the answer is no. I think the Broncos are going to stick with Wattenberg. It's going to kill me. Now, here's my case to actually do it. Number one of the best counters to a pass rush is to run the ball. And if you have a guy like Forsyth, who is a way better run defender and maybe not as good as a pass protector, but he can push dudes backwards in run plays. And if you can get Throckmorton to help you in that run game as well, plus the rest of the O-line that is generally played quite well in both run and pass protection, it's like they've had issues in certain places in certain instances, but it's in weak spots on the line. It's not the entirety of the offensive line. It's almost because they're trying to make up the difference due to guys that are weak. And so, in my opinion, this may actually be a good kind of test case to rotate the right guys in the right spots if you're struggling against the defensive line for the New York Giants. And at which point, my personal preference would be Garrett Bowles, Throckmorton. If Throckmorton struggles, you need to move Palczewski into his place. I want to see Forsyth start and then bring back in Wattenberg if Forsyth like truly struggles and has problems. And then you're going to have Quinn Miners, who should never be moved off the offensive line. I want him signed for like the next 10 years. and then you have McGlinchey for now as your right tackle. But if you truly want to put out a run blocking offensive line, Palczewski is actually, in my opinion, even a better option there. Palczewski's just struggled actually in the pass protection game. So he and Alex Forsyth, Palczewski and Forsyth, are actually superior in the run game, but inferior in the pass protection. And so the question becomes, what style of squad do you want to put on the field? Do you want to be a run blocking or a run first team? At which point, I would actually argue that Palczewski at the right tackle position plus Forsyth at the center position would actually yield better results for your team as a pure. Again, I'm not saying that this would be like better all around. As a pure run blocking team, I think you do better. Now, on the flip side, if you're looking for more pass protection and stuff, Wattenberg sucks in the run game, but he's a pretty good pass protector in the passing game. And then you'd then keep Throckmorton in at the left guard position and then leave McGlinchey there in at the right tackle spot. So, but it is common knowledge, just generally speaking, that if you have an aggressive pass rush team, your best defense against that on the offensive side of the ball is to be able to run the ball against them, because you're going to slow them down and wear them down. And you're going to take guys that would otherwise rely on speed and power and have them gassed. Like they just won't be able to do it.
They were like, to me, the JV team to you guys when we played them. That's how I viewed them. They were still like pretty damn good. So their D-line's no joke. Yeah,
it is no joke. Probably one of the best in the league.
Well, that's debatable. They
got Richie. Watching you against your Chargers, they look great.
I've seen Dexter Lawrence jump. I don't know if you guys know who Dexter Lawrence is. He's a large human. I watched that guy jump, would look like 10 feet in the air and bat a pass down and catch it himself and almost run it back for a touchdown. Like, they're no joke over there. And then once they start using Abdul Carter right, it gets even scarier for their defense. Their secondary isn't as on the Broncos level, but it's still decent. So I think the Broncos offense has a pretty tough matchup, and I would say the same. I think the Giants offense has a tough matchup. The same thing. So,
yep, I agree. So, anyways, that's my general review of the Jets game. The other thing to keep in mind is the Jets' defensive line is actually quite good. Like they're not a slouch of a team.
They look
have
physical.
Typically just been, they are. They made some changes ahead of our game. I don't know if it was like picked up on the nuances and stuff. Jet Central, for those who don't know him, he put out some interesting videos ahead of it. So I would take a look at that. And obviously, I do want to call out my score was like completely off. This was a great example of a game that the Broncos should have actually blown the Jets out, and we ended up playing down to the competition as a result. And we almost lost the game. Like it was that bad.
So I sent you a text, which I don't think you understood. Now, everybody that's watching, go back and look at the Broncos versus Jets last 4 games and just look at the scores. And somebody put out a post. They're like, next time these two teams meet up, they need to be on at 3:30 in the morning on the Weather Channel, because these games are like the lowest of low scoring, and it's been that way the last 4 times they've met up. It's kind of bizarre.
Yeah. It really is interesting. I think it's the personnel that they have right now. I think it's like Quinn Williams and some of the other guys that they have that are kind of like the staples on the team. They're able to combat the Broncos.
This is weird. So you match up weird with certain teams.
Yeah.
Quinn
So, anyways,
Williams
that's
is
the
a handful
Broncos
for
Jets.
any team.
That's the Broncos Jets. I also want to just quickly call out Hufanga, who is easily one of the best free agent pickups for my Denver Broncos. That guy is just wow. Just wow. And in addition to that, DZ, you made a comment about Cooper, rather.
Yeah, I think a stud.
So last week, the AFC Player of the Week was Benito.
Yeah.
And this past week, the Player of the Week was Cooper.
I mean, it's just like, I was thinking about this earlier today. I'm like, dude, you're just loaded on that front, especially that front 7. So it's like you guys are just, it's like, hey man, you want to get this week? I'll get it next week. You know what I mean? Because you just feed off each other when you have good line mates, and that's what makes that defense so dangerous. And then you got rotation. Well, let's get a new guy coming. Rotation, moving guys in, because I think in that game you guys just got back Roach, I believe. That was his first game back. And then we don't know. It's still up in there, but Greenlaw's coming back. So it's getting filthy in Denver, man. It's getting
and then we have Q Robinson as well. We have Q Robinson as well, who's stepping in or will be stepping in on the edge side of things with Jonah Ellis's injury. And so he was a rookie. He's a rookie this year. But again, to your point, when you're having to play up to a competition on your own team, you immediately are elevated beyond what you would otherwise be on a bad team. Like
you're also practicing with these guys too. So they're leading by example, kind of thing.
Yeah. And so it really does allow the daisy chain kind of Congo line of edge rushers, if you're able to kind of group them all together to just one after another, right? And so it really does help. And I will say that Denver has been quite fortunate in that regard in the last little bit.
Yeah. So looking like what is it, Von Miller, and who is that? His partner up in
DeMarcus Ware.
Jesus, it's like 2.0 now.
Yeah. So DZ, over to you. We'll talk about your game, and then we'll move on to the Raiders, and then we'll go a quick review, just a quick rundown of the week ahead, and then we'll call it a show. So DZ, over to you. Your thoughts on your Chargers game?
Well, the Chargers went to South Beach and defeated the Dolphins in a thrilling win, 29-27. Yeah. Well, they snap a 2-game losing streak, and they did it. I'm looking at something right here because there's so much stuff to go over. Despite missing key players, both starting tackles, all wasn't in this game, and I am considering Trey Pipkins, our right tackle. He was out as well. So both starting tackles not playing in this game. Quentin Johnson popped up with a hammy. He didn't play. Running back, we're on our 3rd string running back. That was Kamani Vidal. He's a 5th-round pick, if I'm not mistaken, a few years ago. And, hats off to the Dolphins. It's kind of weird saying this, but, they played a really good game. They had a really good 4th quarter drive. But Justin Herbert, I'll go over the stats. He was 29 for 38, 264 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, which is good. He's had a couple interceptions the last couple games. He had a overall 112 rating. And after this game, he ranks second behind Mahomes for the most game-winning drives since 2020. So he's got 17. Mahomes has got 19. I think you can sandwich Kirk Cousins in there, but Kirk Cousins has been playing forever. In the second half, that's where Justin kind of shined. He was 17 for 22, 171 yards. That's where you got the touchdowns because, while this game was going on, it was just a field goal fest. And I'll get into why. He got the 2 touchdowns in the second half, and he had 129.2 rating in the second half. So he's been doing really well the later part of the games, these last few games. But the Chargers' red zone offense has been dog crap. It is right now, it ranks, I believe, 31st, like 35%.
If you're 31st, then the Raiders got to be 32nd.
It's horrible, Jack. And to compare it, last season they were at 54, almost 55% in the red zone. They're at 35% this season so far. It's a cumulative score through 6 weeks, but it's horrible and it's hurting. The Dolphins, I kind of said this going into this game. I don't know if I said it on the show or within my chats, but they have a D line, which is kind of crazy. It's worth around $200 million. It's 4 first-round picks on that D line. And they went up against backups, third-string guys, and whatever. And I think our O-line, I'm pretty sure it only gave up 1 sack.
One.
Yeah, I think it was 1 sack, and I think it was like 13 or 15 pressures or something like that. So, I called their D line a paper tigers. I think they look better than how they've been playing. So if I was a Dolphins fan, I'd be really pissed off having those guys, and it looks like they haven't been showing up all season. Vidal had a hell of a game, but that's not really surprising. Miami's defense has been dog crap as well. I think who's it before us? I think it was the Carolina Panthers. It was Dowdle. He had like 200 yards or something crazy on them. But with no Omarion Hampton and no Najee Harris, Vidal carried the load, 124 yards, and had a receiving touchdown. Also, another guy shout out, one of our rookie tight ends, 7 catches for 68 yards. He's looking like going to be the future tight end for a while. Him and Justin are building their rapport together. Really like him. He's blocking. He's starting to block really well. That was kind of the concern about him because he was converted wide receiver, even though he doesn't look like. Yeah. And which is kind of weird is because he, not kind of weird, but he played where his father played for all those years, was in Miami. Tua has a 6-17 record against teams above 500. Worst winning percentage in NFL probably history, minimum 10 games. So, yeah, man, it's a hot mess in South Beach. I don't know if the coach is on the hot seat or Tua is on the hot seat, because I've heard mixed reports that the ownership really likes Mike McDaniel or McDonald or whoever, really like him. And, so you would think he gets fired because they spent all that money on Tua. I don't know. They paid him $200 million or whatever it is.
I actually heard that McDaniel didn't want Tua.
I've heard similar stuff as well. Yeah.
So the long and the short of it is, if the ownership said, sign him and here's what we're paying him and do it, shut up, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
And McDaniel's saying, no. And they said, you try to make it work and we need to make this work. And he says, okay, I'll try, but I'm telling you, I don't think he's good enough. And if the ownership is then more involved and sees that the guy that they forced him to take on is not good, this could be a situation where you see a fire sale in Miami, and then McDaniel is then put on like a 2-year short lease window. And if he is put on that short leash window, you know that he knows better and ownership screwed up. If he's not put on that short leash window, then you can probably guess that he was likely part of the problem.
I'll say they should have never got rid of Flores. Flores was right about everything. And
I agree. I agree.
They bring this guy off. They bring this guy, and I think he's off the McVay tree, if I'm not mistaken. But dude, the guy should have never been a head coach. You can just tell by the way he carries himself. I mean, let's be real, dude. He's wearing capris or joggers on the sideline, and he's got like the drug cartel. He's this tiny little nerdy white dude. But I will say he's a great play caller.
Play caller.
He would be immediately probably a top OC if he were to leave that team and go to another team. Like that's
so. Hold on, DZ. Tell me I'm wrong. He looks like the lead singer of Weezer.
Yeah.
Like legit. He literally looks like the lead singer of Weezer, like for sure.
Oh my God. That's funny. I think the time has already kind of passed them up. I mean, you look at it when they got Tyreek Hill, they went out in the first round draft pick. They got Waddle. They had Mozart, being a younger Mozart, running his in the 4.3 range. That team was like a track meet team.
And you just left out the main guy, A-Chain. A-Chain's another 4.3 dude. They're running back.
Yeah, and they could not get it done, and then they had to lose guys like Kristen Wilkins to the Raiders, and they lost their guard who got like $20 million a year. So I think their window is kind of come and gone. So
yeah, I agree. I think they're going to fire. I don't know if they're going to fire sell. I did see a report like they're asking first round picks for either Waddle or A-Chain, which is steep, but I could see a team possibly doing that. I mean, both guys are electric players. So if you want some serious juice on your team, you go out and get one of those guys, but we'll see how kind of desperate some teams are. Now, kind of the bad is, the defense, the Chargers defense is just going downhill. And, there's some metrics that they're doing really well. They're tackling really well. They're doing stuff, they're doing some certain things, defensive metrics, good. But then there's some that are not doing good. This was like the third or fourth week in a row. They're giving up plays to the outside, especially to running backs, untouched. A-Chain had a touchdown untouched. We had our rookie safety on him and just whiffed, and the guy went right past him. And if that guy gets to you, you're not catching him. I mean, if you guys are familiar with him, you're not catching A-Chain. The Dolphins had like 4 super explosive plays in this game, and it's not a good trend for this defense. And I'm like starting to think is Minter's defense getting figured out, or is there personnel problems? What's going on? Yeah, seriously. But in weeks 1 through 3, we were 16th in giving up rushing yards. And that was against the division. And then 4 through 6, we went to 28th. And that was Scadaboo, Bill McCroskey, Merritt, or whatever, with the Commanders, and A-Chain. Now, those are 3 really dynamic backs. Richie will see Scadaboo this week. Jack, you guys.
I wanted to draft him.
So did I. I want to call him Scadaboo. Scadaboy.
I know.
Scadaboy.
Because I didn't think our team was going to draft a running back that high. So I was like, oh, man, if we can get this guy in the second. But that's just not how it works out. But so yeah, something's got to give on this defense, and there's a little plus. Owe, who we traded for from the Ravens, he had his first sack of the season with the Chargers. PFF gave him a shit score, excuse my language, but I don't think PFF, they don't watch the game. I mean, we've gone over this countless times. We could just kind of take it with a grain of salt because I thought he played really well in this game. But he got his first sack, hadn't had one all season with the Ravens. And if you guys remember, he was coming off a 10-sack year last year, so he's in his contract season. Let's see. Yeah, this is something. And it's kind of something I was hitting at to Jack before the show started. So we're 6 weeks in. The Chargers have 7 out of the 8 spots are filled of players on IR. 7 out of 8. You're only allowed to have 8, right? Now, most of these guys are key guys, and they need to come back. But you could only promote 8 guys in one season to come back from IR. So they're in hot water in LA with trying to manage this roster and these injuries that they're dealing with. And some people are starting to guess, is that a reason why they didn't put Joe on IR? Still, Joe Alt, he's been gone for a few weeks with dealing with his high ankle sprain. He came back to practice today, but it was counted as a DNP. He was working off to the side. Another guy on IR was Perryman. He practiced in a limited fashion last week, and he didn't play in Miami. And then he was a full participant today. And then Khalil Mack came back today, and he was a limited participant. And Mack would be a huge boost to this defense, especially on the perimeter, because in his old age, he's gotten great at setting the edge and, controlling the outside. But, from what I saw today, and one of the videos, one of the beat reporters took is he is super limited. He has got on his left arm a giant brace, or it's his right or left. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, it's his left. And when you got that brace on, it's almost, he's like 1.5 arms or whatever. He's kind of like the one-arm bandit. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with him or rush him back. Now the Chargers have a game this week against the Colts, and then we play Thursday night against the Vikings. And then after the Vikings, there's like a mini bye. There's 9 days they have off before they head to Tennessee. But I'm fans are excited about that he's coming back, but to me, I don't think he plays this week, which I would wish he would, but it doesn't look like he's ready. Now, we don't see, what they do in practice after. I think the reporters get 15 minutes to kind of look at what everything's going on the field, and then they have to dip or whatever it is. But yeah, dude, we definitely need Alt, Mack, Perryman, QJ practiced in full, which is good. They probably just held him out, and it wasn't a big deal because QJ out, Justin just leaned on Ladd, and Ladd had a great game. I think this was Ladd's best game this season, and had a hell of a play. I mean, Justin's literally carrying this team on his back, because the defense has gone downhill, the offensive line. So all he has is his receivers and him and Vidal, who played really well. So it's like playing a flag, I guess, out there. But I don't know, you guys probably saw that highlight of him, looking like this. He was going to get sacked, stood strong in there. He's not an easy guy to take down. He's 6'6", right? So if you're hanging on him or you're trying to just wrap around his legs, he just stood there from one hand, put the ball into his other hand, and was able to find Ladd out, and Ladd just took off for 40 yards, and then they kick a field goal to win it. But, after the game, kind of looking at some of the players and stuff, they kind of felt like they should have beat this team by more, kind of probably what the Broncos Broncos players are going through after that game in London or wherever it was at. It's just like this any given Sunday, man. You never know. You can just play against the worst team or the best team, and you never know. But yeah, Another
actually, when you were mentioning Mac, I'd actually be surprised if he played this week. Because if you said if it's on his left arm, left shoulder, well, that's the shoulder that's on the outside to set that edge. So
he switched sides.
He switched?
Yeah.
He's playing on the right side now?
Yeah, so that was surprising to me too. I didn't think so. Thule is taking over, and Thule's been doing really good. He's got 5 sacks this season. He's doing really well in pressures and all that stuff. But they had Odafe playing where Mac was playing, and then I think they'll switch him around. But if Mac does come back, he's probably only gonna be playing on that side. But I know exactly what you're saying because previous seasons he was playing on the strong side. Another thing, the O-line, this is where I'll use PFF just to kind of give a little measurement. Last 3 games has a 41.2 blocking grade as a whole, which is, God, so bad. And Justin's had to he's throwing the ball the 10th fastest right now. It's like 2.59 seconds. And the reason that stat kind of kicks off to me is heading into this week against the Colts. I don't know if you guys are watching any Colts stuff. I know Richie's team played them. Raiders didn't play the Colts. You guys played them as well?
Yeah, we did. Oh, we got smoked.
Daniels just can sit back behind that O-line. Yeah, he can just sit back there. He has got I was watching stuff. I was counting. He had over 3 seconds on plays to just sit there and just throw to his guys, which is credit to that O-line. And they have a guy on that O-line that I think it's Taylor Bordellini, the center that I really wanted to come to LA, and he was like the number 1 center last week. So there's that.
So wait a minute. Well, hold on. Are you saying that the center position is actually important?
Oh my God, it's crazy important.
Weird,
right?
Huh. Who knew?
Yeah, but at least you don't have the worst rated center in the league on your team, and for some freaking reason, it's coach speak. But they refuse to say anything negative about Bozeman on our team. All the coaches, he's a great guy, he's a great player, and this, that, and the other. And it's just like, dude, we have eyes too, man. We've been watching football the majority of our lives. We might not know the play call or, what front you're running or whatever, but we see when this guy is blocking air or he's helping his guard when he doesn't need to and letting a guy run right, beeline it right to Justin. This guy is, I cannot wait to get him off his team.
I have 2 questions for you.
Yeah.
Number 1, is it the guard who's the problem or the center?
So glad you brought that up. The guard, Zion, the left guard I'm talking about, has actually been really good these last couple of weeks.
No, but you were saying that the center was cheating to help the guard.
No, he'll be like over there helping him, like, hey, probably checking the guy's pocket for money or something. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Like,
okay,
you don't need to be there. Just scan your fat head over and look. Oh, this guy I saw because I didn't. He was drafted out of Alabama by the Ravens. His RAS score, which is a fun thing to go off of, not necessarily doesn't mean anything. But it was like a 1 point something. Everything absolutely was in red except for his weight. It was the weight was in bright green. Everything else was red. And to me, they probably said, "Oh, we saw what he did at Alabama. That's good enough for us."
Oh, so you're calling him a fat retard?
Oh God, he's
sounds like Leatherwood.
I don't want to say bad things about this guy because off the field he seems like be a fantastic human and does charities and takes care of communities. Yep. And I think that's great. But on Sundays, you've got a quarterback back there that is the face of the franchise that every week you're trying to get killed.
So he's basically sounds like a Justin Simmons clone, except on the offensive line, right? He's the guy that's doing all the right things off the field, and he is like exactly what the ownership wants from like like a primary position guy, right? But the problem is that if you're going to be honest with yourself, like truly honest with yourself, he's just not good enough, right?
Yeah,
And I think that's what happened there too. Yeah,
he's bad, man, and it's gets scary like at times.
Has Charger fans gotten to the point to where you want to see Andre James,
they've
get
been
a shot?
Screaming from the rooftops for this guy, Jack. They're like, get fucking Andre James. And then we found out like a couple weeks ago, Andre James had a mysterious injury, and we're like, what the hell? Like, what's that all about? But
I have a theory.
Well, hey, real quick, but to the point where the beat reporters are like, kind of like hinting, well, why not try Andre James? And he gets shut down immediately by Jim Harbaugh and everybody else, and it's just, God.
I have a theory.
Well, I want to hear it.
It's the only thing that I can think makes sense why your team would be put in the position that they're in right now.
He's a Mossad agent and has blackmail on the owner. I don't know.
Not far off, actually. My thought process is that the only thing that makes sense, and it sounds outlandish, but I mean, let's be real, it makes no sense otherwise, is he caught your owner, in the back room with one of the cheerleaders, and
well, we don't have cheerleaders.
Okay,
that's another thing. Yeah.
Well, then maybe he was with the trainer, even worse.
Chef
and then therefore, your owner does not have a prenup with his current wife, and the owner said, "I will protect you for a number of years as long as you sign this NDA and shut up."
Dude. And, he wasn't good last season. No, you're right. He wasn't good last season, and they doubled down and extended him.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got him next year, whether we like it or not. And they did that with two players. They did that with Bud Dupree, who's kind of getting on fans' nerves, and him. And it's just – so now everybody's like, okay, we've got 5 draft picks as of right now going into this next – people are already starting to, like, do draft watch. And they're like, I want this center. I want that guy. And it's like, yeah, we'll probably not get a guy. They're like, we got Bozeman. It's fine.
The one thing with Harbaugh, though, is he very much values the interior of both an offensive and defensive line. Like he values the offensive and defensive line. And so you might be fortunate enough where Bozeman might be kept by the ownership, but Harbaugh will likely force another guy in just because he truly values linemen. Like he just does. Look at what your team was looking like at the beginning of the year before your injuries struck. You had a line on both the defensive and offensive side of the ball that were upper echelon in the league. Like they were.
I'm thinking about who.
I'm
thinking about who he inherited. He inherited Mack and Thule. He inherited Slater and Zion and Pipkins. Pipkins was supposed to just be a backup. Was never supposed to be a starter. So, then they brought in Becton. They brought in Bozeman. So, yes, I don't know. I'm like, but yes, I agree. Not at all. Like, this is why I cannot wait for Mac to get back, but that's looking like it's going to be a little bit longer. And then we'll see, man. Maybe Mac's slow rolling at practice. I have no clue. There's nothing wrong with his lower extremities. It's just one arm where he dislocated an elbow a few weeks ago. Another thing is, you kind of hinted at your team with penalties. We had 8 for 65 in this game. Now that's less than we've had these last couple of weeks, but it's still bad. I want to get that down to be around 5. I wish we could get the Chiefs treatment where we don't get a penalty all game. That'd be great. I'd really appreciate that. But it looks like the NFL called their scriptwriters once again are like, hey, AFC looks like a hot mess. Let's make the Chiefs a thing again. And that seems to be what's going on. Jokingly, but not really.
No,
hold on. DZ, I want to call this out.
Rock and roll.
All right. The Broncos, and this is just because I brought it up before, right? I had to look it up because we kind of glossed over it before, but you brought it up here. How many penalties do you have that last game?
8 for 65.
8 for 65. Okay.
Ocho.
Okay. So the Broncos, I just want to quickly do one very, very quick. So we have 448. Dun, dun. All right. So total so far in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games, we have a total of 49 penalties against my Denver Broncos for a total of 448 yards.
Damn.
So it's like everybody in London paid to watch the refs. Is that what I'm hearing? Like, what the hell?
It's well, in London there was only 6, which is the lowest number of penalties compared to other games. Like, to put things in perspective.
Oh, you're giving a whole like overall.
Yes, overall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So for example, 49 divided by 6, we have averaged 8 penalties a game. Averaged 8. So like that's not like the high water mark. We have averaged 8. And if I'm going to be honest, if you actually do the proper math on that, we have averaged 8.2 penalties a game. So it's not even like we're just like 8 flat, or I'm rounding up to get to 8.
No.
Like we are.
How come you never talked about this in previous shows? Because I was being and complaining about, the first 3 weeks we averaged around 6, and then it just ballooned up to 10, 11, 12 a game. So I thought this 8, I'm like, okay, they're getting back down where they need to be, but then again, it was against the
And
Dolphins.
then again, averaged about 75 penalty yards a game given up. 75. That's insane.
Hey, not to, kind of like going back to my game real quick, they had 3 turnovers, the Dolphins. They were still in this game, which kind of like surprised the hell out of me. I think Tua threw like 2 interceptions, and we had a fumble, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, this just shows you where penalties kill you. Like, and I don't know, man.
So you had how many penalty yards in that game? About
65.
I mean, that basically flips the field.
Yeah.
Right.
So your total number of penalty yards and the timing of when those penalties were as well is a big
Bingo.
thing. Nabman, good point. Love the comment. The comment.
I'm glad he brought that up.
Yep.
Because
yep.
What a lot of the Chargers penalties come, especially on the offensive side, is in the effing red zone.
Yeah.
And therefore, that I go back to my stat where we are 31st in the red zone.
It's not just red zone though, DZ. It's when like
timing, yes.
It's the timing. It's the timing in the red zone. So if you're on 3rd down and you give up that 3rd down penalty and then reset the downs for your opponent, you're now giving them an extra 3 or 4 tries to get the ball in the end zone.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's huge. I mean, I don't care how disciplined or how good your defense is. Give a team 7 tries and they're punching it in at some point.
Oh, yes.
Like welcome to the NFL, my man. Like it just is what it is.
I looked it up. And your team is number 2 in penalty yards in the NFL. Only the Giants.
I already said that in the last segment.
Yards.
But I said that in the last segment, right? Like, no, I didn't say this. I didn't know the Giants were the number 1, but I did say in the earlier segment that my team is 2nd worst in terms of penalties. Like this is not a stat you want to be very high in, right? Like this is not one of those things. Yay, I'm winning is not going to be the comment that's going to come out of your mouth when you hear that stat. You know what I mean? Like you're kind of like. You're kind of ducking your head. You're ducking your head and like, shh.
Richie, I feel like your team, like on defense, they'll get a penalty and be like, "Oh, yay, we get to do this again." Like, hey, this is fun for us. We'll just sack him or intercept the ball, bat down something.
Well, yeah,
we didn't get the sack, so we'll cause a penalty so that way we can get the sack on the next play.
It's funny you mentioned that because there was one game and I can't remember which one it was.
Ozarike, get your ass out here, man.
Yeah.
You haven't been out here this
Yeah.
this
So
series.
no, but it's funny you actually bring that up because there was one series where I remember the defense screwed up. They made a major mistake. They actually cost themselves to reset the down on like a third down play. And it's funny you mentioned that the defense was like, fine, we'll do it again.
Yeah.
Because the next 3 plays in a row went sack, 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 punt.
Jeez.
I want this winner go home highlights. He's bringing up some good stuff.
Oh yeah, I agree.
He's the big penalty. Let me see if I could show that real quick. With Tart roughing the passer led to A-Chain's second touchdown. Yeah, something about Tart, like he hasn't been as good these last couple of weeks either. I'm like, what? So everybody's like, I don't know. And I will get into this going into our next week's games, but man, dude, God, shooting yourselves in the foot. But look, at the end of the day, they got the W. It didn't feel like a win, to be honest with you, but considering what, especially on offense, what they were working with, I'll take it all day long. Especially against the Dolphins, their fans chirp too much. There's this whole Tua Herbert debate that's been going on since their births coming into this league that I'm getting tired of listening to.
Sorry, there's a debate?
Oh, apparently they still think so in Miami. And then we have dummies like Acho last season going off, Herbert isn't this, Herbert isn't that. And I get it. It's 2 postseason. That looks really bad on his resume, but I mean, the debate should be over. It should be done. It should be killed. Squad.
I mean, Acho, to his credit, was banging Joy Taylor, but at the same time, he still got himself canned.
Dude, he's on something because now he's on Herbert's side this season, and it's just like it's bizarre. Yeah. I feel like I'm in bizarro world when, last season our whole fan base wanted to kill this guy, and now they're like, Jesus, what's going on?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, anywho, Jack, let's bring the Raiders in here, and we will start getting into the last of the 3 of us here. Raiders won. And,
got a W.
Let's
about
let's
time.
get into it.
Yeah, finally. I mean, again, you can't say much about it. I mean, but we broke the streak. Got a win in week 1 and then lost 4 in a row. But again, it's against the Tennessee Titans, who is arguably probably the worst team in the NFL. But you know what? We have a motto in Raider Nation. It's just win, baby. That's all it is. Doesn't matter how it looks or anything else. But just get the dub. So it felt good because it's been a while. Now with the game, it's all been with the defense. That defensive front looked dominating. We had 6 sacks in that game. We kept the quarterback, who's a running quarterback, had 0 yards rushing. 0. So the team really set the edges on it, and kept this team that really just limited the team overall. I mean, they were 3 for 13 on third downs. Tennessee really didn't do much against the Raiders. And we kind of expected it to, on kind of the defensive side. But I will say, Kai Blue Kelly, that experiment needs to go. We're not playing our 3rd round draft pick. He needs to get into the game. And especially since we're going to be playing against Kansas City. That guy is like, I don't know, what's the expression for it? He's like a used towel, used toilet paper.
Something came to my mind really dirty, Jack. I was like, cum rag. I don't know. Never mind.
I mean, when you got a guy who's ranked last out of all cornerbacks that are starters in the NFL, and you got you got Porter, when he comes onto the field, which doesn't get much playing time, they don't even throw to him. They just go at Kai Blue Kelly. So it's really kind of sad that, this team just kind of like, he's a Pete's guy. So we don't understand, we hear compete, like COMPETE. Well,
it's all over the
unless you're a
billboards
Pete guy, you don't have to compete. Kind of the same thing that we talked about last week with Geno. Now, going to the defense was, again, outstanding. Loved it. Defensive front, Max Crosby had 2 sacks in the game. Devin White, oh my God, Devin White just went back to like he was on Tampa Bay when he was an all-pro linebacker. I mean, what did he have? I had it right here in my notes. Devin he was unbelievable in the way of like 5 tackles, 4 assists, 1 sack, and it was a strip sack, and it was on the 2-yard line. Nice. And then he also got an interception. I mean, he just played out of his mind. He went back to the old days of Devin White. So, yeah, I'm right now, I'm like, yeah, right now, man, he's on crack, dude. He was unbelievable. So I want to extend that guy now. Forget it. Just extend him. Keep him on his team. I don't want him to go anywhere or get the opportunity to go anywhere. So, but with the offense, now you were kind of mentioning, like, with the centers, both you guys talking about centers.
Yeah.
We have the same issue. I mean, if again, a peak guy from what it seems like with Meredith, and another game where he played better, but, and again, he's going against a pretty good defensive tackle over there in Simmons.
Yeah.
But as a whole.
Who they said they wouldn't trade, by the way, which is upsetting to hear.
Oh, Meredith?
No, Simmons, because, like fire sale with teams right now.
Oh, yeah, he'd be like one guy.
Yeah.
But Tennessee would have no one else. They don't really have anyone else on that squad. So early on, though, which really kind of hurt him is Calvin Ridley got hurt. So they took away the best weapon on the team, was gone. So Ward really didn't have a lot of guys to go to. And he didn't have much time to actually throw the ball as well. But again, you're looking at that offensive line, Meredith, you guys are talking centers. I have a center, but he's not playing center.
I know.
He's playing at guard, which again doesn't make a lot of sense. Again, how important is the center, right? But Forsythe, though, oh my God, that guy's a turnstile. So he got his first game in. He came in, for Colton Miller on the last play of the game, and then this is his first game starting. He gave up 3 sacks. And the NFL even took one away, from him. So it really just 2, statistically wise, but he looks like dog water. And again, it's just a Pete's guy. You draft a 3rd round, draft pick as a left guard from, William and Mary and with Charles Grant. Why not play the kid? Okay, let's play him. And again, if we lose against Kansas City, I mean, you're out anyway. So you might as well give reps to the young guys. Let them develop these young guys, just like I mentioned about Porter. Stop with the experimentation when it doesn't really work.
Genty, though, want to experiment against the Chiefs, though? Is that the thing?
No, well, but again, I just look at Forsythe. If you're giving up 3 sacks against a bad Tennessee team, what's that going to look like against Kansas City? So, I mean, yes, it's kind of hard. I would have rather they've done it this game against Tennessee to see what we got, and not do it against a team like Kansas City, because Kansas City, they're back. I mean, they are definitely back. And I almost forgot. I wanted to salute everybody out too. Jack G.
Saying they're back. God bless them.
Raider Fearless, Sacktown, Willie Wayne, Chewy, my boy Nav in the chat right now. I can't say his name. Mauricio 76 Iron 2717 Kev and Win and Lose. Thank you guys for all joining. But it was a Genty show, and they did this, because they had the lead pretty much the whole game. So again, you're going to run the ball more, waste time. What I noticed though is that they used a lot more Jack Besh in this game. So again, since they're running the ball, Jack Besh is kind of a tweener between a wide receiver, and he played tight end in college. So they were using him more on the run. Thornton didn't even really see the field. I understand that you thought why JPJ is a guard. Merritt is not a guard. I certainly do not want him at tackle. I get JP at guard just for athleticism. Well, I don't know now. I mean, having him at guard's nice. I just like JPJ overall, but I want him back at center.
Wasn't Meredith the highest rated guard you guys had on your team last year?
Yeah, he was rated 10th in the league.
So I don't know what Nav is saying where he's not a guard. I mean, I would have thought that's where he would flourish, is at guard and JPJ at center. which makes sense. But we've gone through this for weeks now. I mean,
Right.
we're not changing Pete's mind,
No.
Well, my issue here is simple. Is
play style maybe? I don't know.
Well, no, I don't even care about that.
He's lightning out.
No, I don't even care about this. This is what my problem is. At some point, Pete Carroll needs to be basically put in his place by somebody else within the team. Pete Carroll has got a bit of an issue. Pete Carroll in Seattle and Pete Carroll now in the Raiders has shown that he has an issue, a big issue. And that is with the offensive line that he puts out on the field.
Carried over.
It is carried over. So here's the thing. I'm willing to give Grayson credit. He was in Seattle. Maybe he had problems and issues with Russell Wilson. He was trying to like overcompensate by doing stuff, But here's the thing. He didn't have Russell Wilson here. He got Geno Smith, who was coming off of a pretty awesome year, like a really good year in Seattle, right? And so,
yeah.
So then the question is, all right, well, you have an offensive line that has some issues, right? Like the Raiders were not great last year, and there was a few guys that played fairly well last year, especially near the end for your Raiders. JPJ, I would argue, would be one of them. And so then the question is, like, fill the holes that need filling. Don't overthink something because you're probably going to mess it up, right? Like you need to see what you have first before you start fire sailing stuff and moving stuff around so aggressively. JPJ is the best center on your team.
Absolutely.
And you're better off having the best guy at the position play at his natural position because it will be the best for your team overall. And if Pete Carroll doesn't understand that, then I fear that I have given him too much credit.
I'm starting to wonder if like maybe there's something going on with, because as a center, you're calling out, line up, like where's the linebacker, who's Mike, whatever. You're kind of giving out directions to your guards, and then it goes on to the tackles. Not really to the tackles so much, but I'm wondering if like they probably thought like, oh, Meredith is going to be, he proved that he was better at that than JPJ was in the offseason or something, which would be kind of surprising because JPJ was a center at Oregon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
and he was an all-world center at Oregon. The whole thing is like in the beginning of the year, they had Kappa calling out the plays. So I don't know what it is with the Raiders and JPJ. When they had Kappa on the same line and, you got JPJ at center and he's not the one calling out the plays, it's your guard. So I don't know if he's not learning this system or it's just not sticking with them. What's going on? I don't know. But it's all obvious to the nation where you got guys that need to compete, that you get the eyeball test says you got a lot of skill. And there's other guys that don't do anything. They don't compete. And then compete coach says, hey, just keep going. And that's what I'm starting to see with this team. And I feel like, again, division in the locker room, like we let our best linebacker go last week. It didn't even fly with the team. And right now it's like mysteriously.
There's some weird stuff going on in Vegas, huh?
Yeah, well, like Jacoby Myers, all of a sudden.
Well, so this is a question I have for you, Jack, because as it stands, and I know we've got a lot of season left, you guys are in the top 10 in the draft order. So I'm wondering, is Pete and Spytech or whatever is it Spytech or Spycheck?
Spytech. Yeah, Spytech.
I'm wondering if they're going like, okay, well, let's get a good draft, and we'll bring in more guys next season, kind of, year 2 build up, considering how this season's going. Would Raider Nation want that top 10 pick, or do you guys just want to, maybe steal a few more wins here or there? What do you think?
Well, I just say just win, baby.
Okay. I mean, go the Al Davis way, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't care. Just get the W. If you're going to lose, I want to see a good, product on the field and do your best. But I never want to ever think about tanking or anything like that. And this team's got some some quality pieces on it. I just don't see that. I just don't see the coaching staff using it. So again, the chinks in the armor with Pete. But it is going to be very interesting with Jacoby Myers, because all of a sudden he's not practicing this today. So that's when I threw it out to you guys, going, "Ooh, there is something up in the air."
He's being traded.
Yeah, I think he's getting traded, and has that Max Crosby, because I knew there was a lot of Raider fans. I don't want to say a lot, but they're like, hey, that's our best chance to build for the future, is probably trading Crosby. Is that kind of gone away? Has that quieted down a little bit in Raider Nation? And now this Jacoby Myers thing's probably taken that other level to it,
Well, I'd have to say, with Max, that's just the media. Max ain't going anywhere. I mean, he just signed that contract. He's the face of the franchise, so I don't see that going anywhere. With Jacoby, though, so here's the thing, with the NFL in the way of compulsory picks, if he were to leave this team and just stay on the team for the whole season and then walks, that's a 4th-round draft pick. So a team is going to have to offer at least a third. Otherwise, why would you trade a guy when you get a season out of him and you're going to get a 4th-rounder anyways? So yeah, with Jacoby, it's going to be very interesting. I don't know what they're going to do with them.
The short answer is, Jack, I don't believe that 4th round is guaranteed.
That's a comp pick you're talking about, right?
It's a comp pick, yeah.
No, but I don't believe that 4th round is guaranteed.
Hey, do you see this question, Jack? He's like, hey, Jack, besides Geno, was there a reason why Pete Carroll and Spytek didn't trust any QBs to pick up in this past draft to play behind Geno or AOC, or were they going all in this season?
Well, I think they thought they were going all in this season.
Yeah.
In the way in the beginning of the season started. And they did draft actually 2 quarterbacks. One they converted to a wide receiver, and one that they ended up cutting and is now sitting on the practice squad. And they did, trade a 5th-rounder for Kenny Pickett. So, I mean, they have some backups. It's just that, again, everyone thought Geno was going to play so much better than what Geno is doing. So, I mean,
it is weird. I don't understand what the hell is going on with Geno. And this was the first week I didn't catch any of your game, Jack. I usually try to catch all our division games.
Yep.
I didn't catch any of the Raider Titans game, but I don't understand what the heck's going on with Geno. You guys had. I mean, is it because Bowers has been out? That might be a thing. I'm not sure.
Well, Bowers is out. He's not going to come back until after the bye week.
I mean, but I'm talking about Geno last year. Sorry to interrupt you, but I'm talking about him at behind a probably worse O-line than your guys' O-line. Was super accurate. He's kind of getting a similar system with Pete, and it's just like he's throwing it to the defenders, every game, right? So it's like, what is going on? What's your malfunction? You have Jacoby, you got Trey Tucker, like you had Mayers who looked pretty good. Ashton Genty, I don't understand it, man.
Yeah, let's circle back to the Tennessee game. So in all the first games of the season, Geno was trying to force the ball downfield. We're using Dante Thornton. We thought we can just dominate down the field. And we were proving, again, right when we played you guys, that we're not able to do that. So this game, they kind of changed it up. So this one, they went more, ball control. So, again, Genty had a good game as a whole. And, really kind of kept that just the grinding going. And, again, the Raiders had to lead. So they didn't have to stretch the field. And a lot of these losses, again, the Raiders are so far behind, they have to force it down the field. And that's something that Geno was good at up until after game 1 of the season. So this week, his average, I think it was like 2.9 or something like that per throw. So he's just barely, getting out to the running backs, the tight ends.
It's just dump off. That's all it is.
It was.
Yeah.
And so it changed it up, but he still even threw a pick in this game. And when you mentioned the D line, I think I had the stats on this. I think I brought it up on a different show. They were on pace. I'm not counting this week, but they were on pace for 63 sacks, which would have tied a record for the Raiders going way back to like the early 90s.
Wow.
And when Gino was in Seattle, I think they gave up 50 sacks. So this offensive line, in the way of Ole, go take our quarterback, has been worse than what that Seattle's doing. And again, we talked about guys playing out of their position, not having Colton Miller, and then we got a guy like Forsythe. Again, 3 sacks, had 1 taken away from the NFL, so only 2. But yeah, they need to figure something out on the O-line. And we were talking about like next year in the draft. I don't think Pete's going to go anywhere, but it would be a year where if Pete actually said, okay, we got to get rid of Gino, next year would be it, because you'd only take an $18.5 million cap hit after signing that big contract.
So I have 2 questions here with regards to what you're putting out there. Number one, right now the Raiders are clearly struggling. I think that's clear and fair. What would the big issue be just overall if the Raiders were to look at it from a practical perspective, almost the way that the Broncos did with Von Miller, for example, by saying, we need draft capital in order to rebuild the team. We need to move on from our franchise pass rush guy because we need draft capital in order to rebuild the team to be better, and we need the multi picks in order to do it. So here's my question for you. 1, what would the major problem be within Raider Nation if you were to trade Myers and Max Crosby this season?
Wow.
For capital to try to bolster your roster overall to get maybe a combination of lineman, quarterback, or lineman and something else to try to elevate your roster overall to like it's kind of like the rising tides raise all ships comment, right? Which is right now you have an elite player on your team, which is great, but you're not doing anything with him because you haven't been able to put the right pieces around him to raise the entire ship. So what are your thoughts?
Well,
what are your thoughts on that? And why would that be such
right.
a bad idea given where you're at right now?
It
2 seasons in a row, by the way.
Yeah, no, it's a bad idea. Number one, Max is much younger than Von Miller at this point. Number 2, it's not the defense. That front for the defensive side is looking good. They're one of the better run stopping defensive fronts in the entire league. So they are doing their part.
Sure.
And and again, you're missing a guy like who was supposed to be there, like a Christian Wilkins, to help take that pressure off him. But you look at Jonah Lalu and Lottie; those guys are getting sacks as well. So that defensive front's looking good. And what I will say for this, everyone in Raider Nation knows Khalil Mack. When we did that trade, what did it look like to the nation? Getting all those picks. What did the Raiders do with those picks? The only one that came out of that was Josh Jacobs. So basically, it was like trading almost Khalil Mack for Josh Jacobs.
Max still not a win about that too, which is weird.
Oh yeah, the nation hasn't forgot that. I mean, we thought about what if Mack never left, and you get a Max Crosby and a Khalil Mack playing together.
Oh shit! Excuse me, but
so
no, thank you.
That's a yeah. There's no thank you. No, we're not doing it. I mean, there's no way I can see them ever trade in the face of the franchise. And when you got a guy that puts in the effort of a Max Crosby, that's what you want. You want that work ethic. You want the other players to go, I need to be like that. And that's what you want to be contagious throughout your whole team. So to remove a player like that, I think it would be more decimating to the team and getting rid of your true leader of the whole squad. Yeah, I don't see that happen. Now, Michael Mayers, again, as a Notre Dame guy, I really like him. And, he stepped up this week.
Yeah.
So what did he have? He had like he got five catches for 50 yards and a touchdown. So he's there again. He's just coming back off of his injury, and now
So Jack, hold on. Go back to that just for a second, though. You said the leader of your squad. I have a question for you.
Okay.
Remove one player, and I'm going to see if you pick up on who I'm referring to in terms of the one player. Which team has ever gone on to be a dynasty or won a Super Bowl where an edge rusher is the leader of the squad?
Super Bowl? Well, I could say Howie Long or Greg Townsend.
I mean, I get what Richie's trying to say.
I mean, you got to have. It's always going to be typically your quarterback, or you just got to have simply your defense overall, like the Ravens, where it's just so dominating, and just have a game manager at quarterback.
And Jack, I'm not trying to belittle. I like Max's. This is going to kill me to say it. I actually really like Max Crosby. He's a great player. Like, he is legit. He is the guy that you want to point other players to say, be like him. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see other teams too.
Yeah.
Like going for him. And then one team in particular, and that's probably the Colts. And I'm
no, I was thinking the Bills.
Yeah, I could see the Bills. Their defense is kind of ass, but the Colts are like a piece or two away from being a legit Super Bowl contender.
Hey, Stoffel, right there, you just said it. Everybody wants Crosby. So,
I mean, who wouldn't, right?
But he's not going anywhere. So it's kind of I know we're just having a conversation, but it's kind of a dead topic because he's not going anywhere.
I wouldn't. It's a business at the end of the day, but I get what you're saying. He's the face of the franchise. It'd be like, are you going to trade Justin Herbert or something like that kind of thing?
Right. I almost said that.
Yeah.
But you said it.
But real quick,
we're talking about Mac, Khalil Mack. So when I was bringing up Devin White and his game, he's the first player to get, again, a strip sack, an interception, and since 2016, and with the solo tackles that he got to, the 5 solo was Khalil Mack. So
wow.
So the first time since then. So yeah, it was just a big, huge game. Again, with Cleo, Raider Nation knows that's a mistake. We're not going to do that with Max.
So do you think that like Bowers being out is Bowers been like essentially like the engine that made this offense move, and him being out is kind of derailed things a little bit?
Well, it's a huge factor. I mean, you look at what he did last year. I mean, just setting, all-time records, and then him coming back, which kind of makes you wonder, it's like, why did the Raiders coaching staff and the medical staff let him come back and let him play for a couple more weeks to, even hurt his knee even more? And he hasn't played, the last couple weeks, and he's going to be out until after the bye week. So
I mean, he's your guys' pride and joy right now outside of Genty. So I think they're like, dude, for our future, let's not risk his knee or anything like that. You know what I mean? Because I think he heard it before you guys played us, the Chargers, right? Because he did not look right in that game. But he was still on like 1.5 legs and still looked pretty damn good. So I'm thinking that's probably what's going on. But that still doesn't. Oh, Jack just dipped off. But that still doesn't.
Newsom.
I'm still not giving that excuse why Geno has been so bad, and let me see. I don't know.
Hey, Gavin cut off my power.
You guys owe each other a Coke because Richie said the same thing. But real quick, I saw a comment from Win, or I forget his name, but a good guy in the chat, Win or Go Home. He said something earlier when I was talking about the Chargers that I was like, didn't make any sense. He said James took first rep or something like that. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me. So I hopped on the old X. I guess Andre James is taking first team practice reps today at center, which I know Raider fans are like, haha. But for me as a Chargers fan, after what I got through saying about Bozeman is a good sign. So I don't know if he was doing that while Bozeman was at the porta potty or what, but we'll see if this fan base gets their wish and gets to see Andre James against a pretty good defensive front. And
it'd be interesting to see him. Basically, based on what you're saying about your center, just to see how he plays.
He can't
right
be any
now,
worse,
I would take Andre James back as the center, right now over Meredith. Meredith is not doing anything either, so it's kind of a similar thing. And one thing that certain teams have in common, actually, with your Chargers, you play the Raiders, your head and you don't win, your head coach gets fired. So
Yeah.
Brian Callahan, after the game, got fired, and it made me think about which was actually a blessing when we played your Chargers, and we got your Madden boy fired, and then you guys, pick up a Hall of Fame head coach to replace him.
Yeah. So who's gonna? Well, I was like, who's gonna replace Callahan? And I see who they hired to kind of keep the ship afloat throughout the season is Mike McCoy, that visor-wearing D-bag that we had in LA. But yeah,
I was waiting for you to make a comment on him.
It was a blast from the past, and I was like, that was out of left field. They just like it's like they had a Rolodex, and they're like blew off the dust. And they're like, oh, Mike McCoy, let's give this guy a call. Let's see what he's going. We got some nice visors in Tennessee. That was a weird one, but I don't know. I guess him being a past head coach, he knows how to run things, and it didn't seem like Callahan really knew what he was doing from all the reports I'm hearing with how they were segmenting different position groups for meetings and things like that, and in practice tempos and things like that. So we'll see if the Titans look a little better.
Yeah, but it can't get much worse.
So, yeah. So
and what's also interesting too with the. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I wanted to just kind of make sure that we gave ourselves enough time to talk about the game coming up a little bit as well.
All right, let's just do that. Let's just knock that out.
Yeah. So I'm gonna just go kind of bang 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 here with the Broncos Giants, and we'll knock it out.
Yeah.
So I see this as a similar-ish game to the Jets in terms of the outcome and the score. I think the Broncos and Giants are both heavy defensive teams that typically lends itself to an abnormally lower scoring game. I do believe that the Broncos are going to come out on top, but I do think you're going to end up with a slightly elevated score just because it's in Mile High.
That's what I was going to ask. It's like it's at home. So
at home for the Broncos. So I have this as a 21 to 19 game for the Broncos. I think it's going to end up being right in that. No, I'm going to go 24-19 for the Broncos. Or no, I'll go 24-20 to at least give the Giants some credit there. Although I do think it could be even a little lower scoring than that. You could be something in the 17-19 range as well. I think that there's going to be a defensive turnover for the Broncos. It just seems to kind of happen every so often. I think this might be the game where that happens. The Giants have a great defensive front, generally speaking, and I think they just match up well against the Denver Broncos. Another piece here as well, I do want to kind of just bring this up. This is the game where the Broncos are going to induct DT into the Ring of Fame.
Oh, Demaryius.
Okay, this is Demaryius Thomas. For those who don't know who DT is, he was and is basically a Broncos legend in terms of the way he played. He was in that Julio Jones era of wide receivers where you had those true athletic freaks that existed in the NFL, those 6'2", 6'3", 230 just beasts that were at wide receiver. Julio Jones, Demaryius Thomas, you had a couple of them but those are the big two that kind of were often vaunted across the NFL. And DT is a guy that I think is going to inspire a bunch of the Broncos players. I think that Sean Payton is going to fire his guys up to make sure that they win at home for DT. So I have that as kind of like a 24-19 win for the Broncos as a result of that. Yeah, I hated it too.
Say your score again.
I'm gonna say 24-19.
Ooh, that's closer than mine. I think you guys pull away in the second half. I looked it up. Giants have a 25th ranked rush defense, so I think you guys just ground and pound and just pull away. And I think what I write down 24-13 Broncos. I think you guys sack Dart a few times. I think probably 4 times.
Well,
they do have a really good left tackle. Their O-line's decent. So, but
yeah, well, so did the Colts, and we still sacked Jones, a couple of times there too. So, like, I think that you're going to see probably 6 sacks or so in this game for my Broncos.
Ooh, 6. Okay, I was like 3 to 4, but 6 is nice.
Yeah,
but I think it'll be 6. I think it'll be 6.
The reason I say less is because Dart wants to run.
He wants to run, but you got to remember is that the get off of Benito and Cooper are like
it's just scary.
It's like it's literally like watching track stars on the field, right? Like
Olympic athletes on
the yeah, exactly. So I mean, like, I'm not trying to like necessarily pump up my team just because they're my team, but at the same time, like, I do think you need to be honest with the product you're seeing on the field over the course of this season. I think you're going to see 6 sacks at home. I also think the Broncos are pissed. Like pissed because they know full well that Jets game was, they won, but they had no business barely winning like that. And so I think this is going to be kind of one of those games where the Broncos come out pretty angry.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not man. I mean, this is possible, right? Like, I'm not.
If the creatine Caucasians get you guys too, oh my goodness.
Like, my point here is, I could see something like this happening, right? At some point, the issue here is, are the Broncos going to finally course correct their penalties, right? Like, I just went over the details, right? Like, you can't go 8 penalties for, like, what is it, like 70 some odd yards, 75 yards, and then still continue to win games. At some point, that's going to come back and bite you in the ass, right? And so the point is can the Broncos reduce that penalty count? Can we get it down to like 4 or 5? Can we get it down where we don't get nicked with a boatload of yards in this to start bringing those penalty counts down? If the answer is yes, well, we can start putting out a way better product on the field, because we're not going to then give up on key third downs, for example, the yards to get the team past midfield and into field goal range. Like, remember, like, the difference at Mile High is like a 60-yard field goal is for sure makeable for a lot of kickers, especially in today's NFL. So,
especially being a Mile High too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, with the Denver and Giants, again, it's going to be the New York Giants defensive front, which they do look good. I mean, I watched the Charger game and they were beating up on your quarterback, BZ. But again, I know you're missing a lot of guys. And, again, Denver's got a little bit better of an offensive line right now because of over your team, because you have those injuries. I just don't think that, their quarterback with Dart is going to be able to throw the ball a lot. So what you were saying in the way of running, I see a lot of that. So I can see where Richie's coming in with even a higher sack amount. I got around 4 sacks for them. I do see the score a little bit lower just because the Broncos offense has not been gelling, but the defense is on fire.
Yes.
And I just don't think, New York's going to really be able to throw, so they're going to have to run the ball. So I think, with both teams kind of wanting that mindset, we're going to have a little bit lower of a score. I got it 23-17 Broncos. So I'm kind of in between the two of you guys in the way of what, New York gets, and just 1 point less than what Denver's going to have.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think what you're going to see, honestly, just in my opinion, in this game is going to be Nick Medito, as long as he remains healthy and on track. I think he's going to have himself a bit of a game here. I think he's got too many moves to put on a Giants offensive line. I think he's got the conditioning to outlast and kind of get what he needs to. And I think when you combine him with JFM as well as Jonathan Cooper on the interior versus outside, I just think that's going to be a little bit much. I also think that the re-emergence of Malcolm Roach coming back from the IR side of things is going to really lock down the run game a little bit, and I think that's going to be a huge difference maker here in the game, because I think the Giants rely so heavily on the run game with Scatterboo, which just allows them to kind of jump off with the play action pass and the other things there, that the Broncos defense is just, in my opinion, it's unlike anything the Giants have gone up against, and I think it's going to be a bit of a shock and awe for them, in my opinion,
Right.
in terms of what they're used to. So
and
that's
Stoffel,
just the thing.
Yeah, Stoffel, thank you. Stoffel the Badger, he just put a comment at Rio Linda, so Northern California, Sacramento area. So thank you for that. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So anyways, that's the Broncos game. That's my prediction. I do think it's going to be a kind of New York Jets-ish game with a little bit more of a margin. I think it's going to be a closer score, but I think the game is going to be more in the Broncos' favor than what we saw with the Jets. But either way, I think the Giants are going to show that they have a great defense, but they just have a little bit more to do in order to kind of start hanging with some of the better teams in the NFL. That's my general thought process on them. Over to you, DZ, for your Chargers.
Well, the Chargers are hosting who some people are saying could be the best team in the AFC, the Indianapolis Colts, which is kind of surprising to see or hear. They will be debuting their Savannah Banana uniforms, aka their Gold Rush or whatever the hell they want to call them. I'm not a fan. Colts are 10-10 in the red zone these last 2 weeks. Daniel Jones has the highest QBR in the NFL. We talked about earlier, he's got damn near 3 seconds to throw. Jonathan Taylor has 15 explosive runs this season so far. That's more than 21 teams have. Their left side of their line scares the bejesus out of me. Bortolini at center, Rainman at tackle, and Nelson at guard. They use Nelson. Dude, they'll pull Nelson, and I literally will watch their O-line. They'll tag team a guy, and then their O-line guys are fishing to knock somebody out. It's a sight to see. I mean, the way Steichen's got this team running, it's like a well-oiled machine right now. How they use Warren also, and earmuffs Raiders fans, like probably going to be the best rookie tight end, since Bowers, and it's probably going to be him and Bowers for the foreseeable future. But another crazy thing. Their last game, running behind that left side, it was like 7-point-something yards a clip. Comparative to the right side was like 2.2 yards. So they're pulling, they're doing everything to that left side. So this all depends on who we get back this week. But
I was going to ask you that, with all your offensive linemen, all Timpkins, Johnson, do you think those guys are going to play? Because that has a decision of what my score is.
I think Pipkins. I think. I think Perryman plays. I think QJ plays. He was in the last game. Alton Mack. I don't think Alt plays, which scares the bejesus out of me because Deculus, who's been our left tackle, is going to have Latu tattoo his nuts to his forehead. That's because Latu is like their best guy on that D line, and he's just having a year. ridiculous is just he's horrible. But you know, we say this before, playing up to teams, playing down to teams. This is at home. The Chargers played an early game on the East Coast in Miami. It was hotter than balls there, from what everybody was saying, which I expected. I got this as a close game, but I got it for the Colts. I got the Colts winning 27-20 or 24-23. I have two scores, so I'm like, it's going to be in that range. This offense has shown me that they still fight. There's only been really one game, and that was against the Commanders, where they didn't show any life. So, but I've got the Colts taking it, unfortunately.
You know what? I'm just going to piggyback off of basically based off what you said with the injuries. I have, I know the Chargers are 1.5 point favorites. They're at home. The over under is 48.5. I have a 23-24. The Colts they just look impressive. I mean,
yeah,
they barely beat, Richie's team with that amazing defense. They smoked my Raiders, the Raider Nation team, 40-6.
Another thing I forgot to mention, they have a lot of cornerbacks out. And then they also lost some other guys. So they lost it looks like both their gunners on special teams are going to be out this week as well. So that should help our special teams. It looks like Darius Davis is back, who has been our main guy. He's been missing for a few weeks. So I'm thinking that's what keeps his score even. But another thing about the Colts is they pass in the first half. They dink and dunk pass, right, in the first half. And then in the second half, they unleash Taylor. If you look at his stats, he almost doesn't even really play the first half. And then the second half, they just ground and pound you and play clock control or whatever. So
right, they do that because they've been up so much in the games that they've been at, where they want to clock control and control the time of possession in the second half. So that's you have to start looking at where they're at as they're entering in the second half. Is that a byproduct of where they're at, or is that an actual game plan? I'm not convinced that it's a game plan. I'm more convinced that it's just like how they've entered a lot of games into the second half.
I mean, one of my keys I was talking to in a chat, I was like, if the Chargers don't have a lead going into halftime, I give them zero chance, because it's just that clock management that they can do with that run game. And then for 3 weeks in a row or 4 weeks in a row, going back to probably Denver, this defense has been getting gashed on the edges. They're letting guys go untouched, and you just can't do that with Taylor. So I was really hoping Mac would come back and set that edge, because that's what he's been great at. So, I mean, they're going to have some really serious talks coming into this week about how they want to approach this game.
Sure, I'm going to be super brief. My score prediction is 34.
Ooh, that's high.
20. I'm going to say 34-27 for the Colts.
Wow.
I give a lot of credit to Justin Herbert. I think he's a great quarterback in the NFL, and I think that he has shown this season in particular, DZ, that despite being dealt a crap hand, he's done very well.
Yeah.
Right, and so I only give your team that score because of your quarterback, if I'm going to be honest.
Fair.
Who I believe deserves credit for what he's put on the field. And so I have 34-27 Colts, because I think your quarterback kind of pulls some magic out again. I think he does some interesting stuff. I think he's got a lot of grit and a lot of grind, that kind of stuff. He certainly doesn't look like he should be that type of dude, but he plays like that. When you see him on the field, he will put himself in harm's way to try to win a game. And that is a great leader quality, in my opinion. It forces other players around him to level up as opposed to skate by. And I think that's a good thing.
Well, he does have a new girlfriend this year, so maybe that's where this is coming from. I'm not sure.
So
well, I mean, the post-game activities as a result of proving your manhood is certainly probably not hurting his his play on the field. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
But with regards to just what I expect, I do think the Colts are just they are a very, very well built and
They're
well coached
solid.
team. They
Solid
really
team.
are.
You know,
Now I do think my Broncos, just in fairness, I think we should have beaten them based on where the game was. I'm just calling
Yeah.
a duck a duck. If you have a full drive where 90% of the opponent's drive was based on your own penalties, that's a you problem, not an opponent being better than you. And that's where my kind of take on that is. But with regards to where you're at as the Chargers team, I think your Chargers team is way better than you're actually showing right now. I think you are a way better team than that. You just have been plagued by the Chargers curse of you can't
they
keep
do.
dudes healthy, and as a result, you're not winning games that you should.
100%, man. I 100%
So,
agree.
100%. I mean, when you have more injuries than you play games, it's
Yeah.
going to take its toll.
Somebody needs to sacrifice a goat like years ago, but they
Yeah.
haven't.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's where I'm at. I see this as a I don't call it a blowout because it's not a blowout. I think it's to be a closer game, but I think you're going to come back from behind as a result of the Colts kind of like running the ball and all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. And I think you're going to just come slightly shy of that victory against a team that is, frankly,
I
playing
think
very
Taylor
well.
has like 603 yards or something on the season. Like it's like almost 100 more than the next guy. Like the guy's just killing it. Like,
Well, when you have an offensive line that's playing as well as the Colts
Right.
offensive line
Yeah.
is, like, I'm sorry, like it's just like I'm not saying it's unfair, but at the same time, like you have to kind of call it for what it
I
is.
think, yeah, they're number one in run blocking and rushing grade. Like,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah.
I was going to say that it feels like they are top three, and I think they're
Yeah.
even starting to pass up the Eagles' offensive line at this point.
Yeah. So, anywho, that's where I'm at with your game there, DZ. I think Jack gave his score. If I recall correctly, what I heard is basically we all believe the Broncos are going to win to varying degrees. We all believe that the Chargers are going to lose to varying degrees. Jack, your thoughts on your game?
All right, so we're playing Kansas City Chiefs, and it's just like ET. We're around Halloween. They're back. I mean, Kansas City. They started off slow this year, but wow, have they just improved every single week? They just got done, spanking Detroit 30-17. And where you can see what Kansas City is doing, where they had their issues last year and the year before has been that offensive line not having their tackles. Well, they went off, this offseason, and they signed a defensive tackle from the 49ers, and then they drafted one in the draft in the way of Simmons. So what was an actual weakness for the team, the last couple of years is an actual strength this year. And if you look at it, this offensive line is playing so well. Their block rate is 2.5 seconds last game, 95% of the time. I mean, you're giving Patrick Mahomes, who's the most dangerous cat, in the NFL, that much time, he's going to do things. We talked about it a little earlier. The only team to have 4 wide receivers to have over 100 yards. Rasheed Rice is coming back. I don't know how much he's going to actually play because the other guys are playing well. And you just look at what Mahomes against a really good defense, with Detroit, 22 of 30, 257 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he had 10 rushes for 32 yards. Now, for the Raiders to have a chance in this one, you got to only rush 4. And you got to be able to get to the quarterback against this better offensive line. So you better step up, because if you happen to start to blitz people, that's where Mahomes will tear you apart. And the Raiders back end, and I brought it up earlier, we have the worst rated cornerback in the way of Kai Blue Kelly. So it is going to be definitely a difficult game. I don't even want to give the score reality. They have they're top 10 in sacks in the league. They've got the 7th pass defense in the league, and they get 311 yards per game on the offense, and none of it's really running. It's almost all of it's Patrick Mahomes. So dude, I think the Raiders will be able to stop the run, but Patrick is just Patrick. And I really hate to say this. Boy, I'm glad we don't really have any Kansas City Chiefs fans in this chat. I got the Raiders, and the game spread is 11.5.
Is it 11 or 12? It's one of those.
Yeah, I've seen it fluctuate.
It's crazy.
It goes up and down from what I've seen over the last couple of days. And I hate to say it's going to be a double-digit loss for my Raiders. I think they're coming off a big win. Again, it's Tennessee, but I will take it. I'm sorry, Nav. I got to do it, bro. It's until they beat them. Well, I can say this. Here's one last piece. So the Raiders, Patrick Mahomes is 12-2 against the Raiders. And the Raiders' 2 wins are in Kansas City where they are playing. And the Raiders' 2 wins that they have gotten are the same refereeing crew that's going to be this weekend.
Wow.
So, and when you talked about,
so you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah, well, I think there's always a chance because it's an AFC West division game. So they always play each other tough. Raiders always play because this is like the Raiders Super Bowl in reality for this season and in years past. So they really do kind of step up against the Chiefs. And again, having that refereeing corps may help because against Detroit, Kansas, they didn't have one penalty. Kansas City, again, getting that refereeing crew, blessings.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at least I have this crew coming in, and but that's where we got our 2 wins. All right. Hey, this is a big game. This is division. Come on, Rich. So 28-17, I got it for Kansas City. I hope I'm completely wrong, please, but that's what I got.
All right, I'm going to be super quick. I think the Raiders D-line is going to be a little bit too much for the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line. I think the Raiders have that battle, and my feelings on defensive line versus offensive line. I believe the D-line kind of wins that battle most often than not. As a result of the D-line of the Raiders typically being quite good, locking down the run and likely leveraging their run blocking skills to then try to apply pressure on the Kansas City Chiefs, who have had one good game in the last little bit against the Lions, albeit it was a very good game, so credit where credit's due. This is a divisional opponent. This is a different ball of wax or a different can of worms, however you'd like to use your euphemisms. As a result, I posted this before you gave your score, Jack, on purpose in our private chat here. I have this as a 21-17 Raiders win.
Nice.
I believe that the Raiders are going to eke out a win in this game as a result of their D-line and the Chiefs having traditionally struggled this year. The Chiefs have kind of had a bit of an ebb and flow year this year. They've struggled a little bit. I think divisional opponents are going to be a challenge for them. They've already lost to the Chargers, and I believe that is going to be an interesting one. And frankly, the Raiders have always played the Chiefs pretty well, if you're going to be honest. Like, the Raiders have not had a great win percentage over the last few years, but they've always played the Chiefs really hard and played very well, and frankly have beaten the Chiefs when other divisional opponents have not. And so I'm going to give you guys a little bit of credit where credit's due, and I believe that the Raiders will eke out a win against the Kansas City Chiefs as a result of the Chiefs' inconsistency, generally speaking, over the course of this season thus far. Now, credit where credit's due to the Chiefs, though. They are doing better and are getting guys back, but I just don't think that this week against a divisional opponent will be the week where they truly continue the ascension. I think the Raiders will win. DZ, over to you.
Well, wow. I didn't expect that from you, Richie. Earmuffs, Jack. Jack, I love you, man, but Vegas says this is a 12-point, 11.5, whatever spread. I mean, Geno Smith is the first quarterback in the league to have double-digit interceptions. I don't see that slowing down. The Chiefs know where they sit in the division. They see where the Chargers, they see where the Broncos are. They smell blood. You know what I mean? It's at home. We saw what happened against the Lions, not getting any penalties and them beating the brakes off the Lions, who, everybody thinks everybody thought was a better team. And I personally do too, but I think the Rams won that trade with them getting Stafford and them getting Goff. I think Goff turns into a pumpkin when the lights are shine the brightest. That all being said, I think the Chiefs go full aerial attack on you guys. All the reports are saying that they're not going to hold back Rice, that he's ready to rock. And I think they want to show off their new toy. I think they go big and earmuffs. I think the Chiefs win 31, Raiders 14.
I hope not.
That'd
be a long game.
I'm rooting for you guys, but I'm just trying to be as realistic as I can be here.
Right.
And I just seen your secondary.
And I'm already hearing it from the nation, going, how could I, pick KC? Well, when Mahomes is 12-2.
I mean, if you've got a quarterback that's helping the other team that doesn't eat up, you have to play damn near perfect against this team. That's the only way to beat them. And the way we beat them was they got to game plan for these guys all off season, played them on a neutral site, which wasn't really neutral. It was kind of favoring the Chiefs, in my opinion. And our OC called the best game that any Chargers fans have seen from him since he's joined our team. And we were healthy. That's how we beat the Chiefs. And, I think it was still a close game.
It's got to be all right from the defensive, front line. You look at it, and when we beat him on Christmas, I think Aiden O'Connell had 63 yards passing. So that defense, really needs to step up. They really need to be able to put that pressure on. But again, Casey's offensive line it's not a weakness anymore for him. It's a strength. So
I think something's going on with Simmons
it's a difficult matchup.
He wasn't there for personal reasons or something, and it's being taken
I don't
care
know
of.
if Simmons. They said Simmons didn't practice yesterday or today, and again, it's some personal issue.
Yeah,
but even though their backup left tackle, that again they signed from the Niners, I think they signed him 2 years, $30 million, so 15 per. He was the backup to Trent Williams, and he played well against the Lions, and he didn't give up a sack, so he's still a player.
Well, just like we do every week, guys, we're going to go deeper dive into a post-mortem of the game rather than the prediction of the future game, and try to go into whataboutisms. I think that's a better way of going about it. I think that makes a ton of sense, so we can actually break down what we saw versus what we think we might see, because that's an infinite number of possibilities as opposed to actually breaking down what we saw in the game prior. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to end the show there. We'd like to thank everyone for joining the show, giving their input. Share, like, subscribe, all the other stuff, wild crack, reactions, whatever. Anyways, guys, go ahead and share this to whomever you want to. We would like to have more people just like you in the chat. And until next week, where the West Side is the best side. Peace.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast's racking up the